In theory, yes, but I think in this situation, we have to be very clear that a prison is no place for a pregnancy. It really isn't. And perhaps I'm thinking more of the unborn baby than I am of the mother. And perhaps there will be unintended consequences. But I think we need to be very, very clear that unless it's a terribly, terribly violent, dangerous crime, I think most female offenders should be able to carry out some form of custodial sentence or within the community, within their home, perhaps tagged during their pregnancy and in the early months of their baby's life. I think we need to be really clear. Prisons are not a safe environment. They're not a nurturing environment, and they're not a healthy environment for a pregnant woman, and more importantly, for her unborn child. They're not comfortable in terms of sleeping and, when you get big or when you're pregnant. They're not even the basic midwife checks, Esther, things like blood pressure, just basic antenatal tests are not routinely carried out. And there have been deaths. There was a recent tragic death of a baby. A woman went into labor alone, locked in her cell, and it became an emergency. A straightforward, healthy pregnancy, which most pregnancies are, can become and does become a high-risk event when you are behind bars.
But, Emma, won't this just make criminal families get somebody, a pregnant female in their family, to go out and commit some of their crimes because they know that, well, it's all right, because even if she gets caught, she's not going to go to prison, and it'll just give women a get-out-of-jail card before sentencing. If they're convicted of a fairly serious offence and they're bailed for sentencing, they just get themselves pregnant before they come back to court for sentencing, and they've got a get-out-of-jail-free card. That can't be right, surely.
It can't be right, and it reminds me a little bit of that old thing they used to say in the 80s and 90s about, women just getting pregnant to get a council house, to get a bigger council house. Look, getting pregnant, having a baby is quite a big deal. Many women don't just do it at the drop of a hat. You are right. There are going to be female offenders, or people who are accused, who know that their court date is coming up in a couple of months and will get pregnant, because if that is a get out of jail card, they will use it. Those are the unintended consequences. But let's think about the majority. Let's think about female prisoners who are behind bars. I repeat, that is not a safe place or a nurturing place for a baby.
Let's bring Rebecca in. Rebecca, I don't know if you've been persuaded by anything that Emma said there. I mean, up to 100 children a year are born in prison. Those babies haven't committed any crime. They shouldn't be punished, should they, and imprisoned because of the actions of their mother.
Unfortunately, no, I agree with a lot of what Emma says on a lot of occasions, but on this one, I'm not there. There cannot be any reason for me why we should stop imprisoning women just because they get pregnant. I truly do believe that there will be a rise if we have this blanket law, and I think a blanket law would be very dangerous. Emma obviously is talking a lot about the mitigating circumstances. Well, in criminal law, obviously, before somebody is sentenced, there is a lot of mitigation arguments, and these things are taken into account already. So if somebody is then still imprisoned and they are pregnant or they have children, it is already considered. There are not great volumes of people who are having pregnancies in jail. When I looked into it, it's between about 30 to 60 women a year who are doing that. If they are imprisoned, there's a very good reason for it. And to do anything other than that would be, like I say, I think it'd be a dangerous precedent to be setting.
Rebecca, some people will say a pregnancy, having a child, could be the start of a new beginning, both for the child and for the mother. Do you think the criminal system could facilitate that new beginning for the both of them in a better way rather than being in prison?
I think it could facilitate it being better for them, but I don't think that to have a blanket policy of let's not put anybody in prison who is pregnant is not the answer. I do think that there are errors in the system, actually, and obviously, like I say, when I was doing my research, it was actually quite disturbing that a mother can potentially only spend up to 6 weeks not basically having a job in jail, which I think is actually really awful, because as somebody that almost died during pregnancy, I know that it took me a good 6 months to recover from that. So I think that that's a concern. I also thought what was something quite concerning is that if you do have your child in prison with you, the maximum age that they can leave you is 18 months. I think that needs a little bit of extension. But the mother has to pay for the food when she's in prison, whereas the prison obviously provide it for her. I don't think that that's a very supportive system to have in place for a child being in prison. I think there are a lot of things that could be done better to look after mother and baby when they are in the prison system, because there's a very good reason why they're there.
Emma, I just wanted to say, I mean, my great-grandma was a suffragette. Feminists fought for equality for years and years and years. Isn't it the case now that we've got a sort of a new form of feminism which sort of wants equality when it suits, but wants special treatment when it doesn't suit?
Well, yes, but this is a special case. And Phil, I'm so glad you bring up your great-grandmother. I was going to bring up, for your literary viewers, I was going to bring up Moll Flanders by Daniel Defoe, which is a fabulous book and is all about female criminals, you know, sort of criminals in the old city of London getting pregnant, literally getting pregnant to avoid jail. So I recommend everybody to read Moll Flanders. But I think, look, we know our prison system is broken. Until it is better, unfortunately, it needs to be better. It needs to be the place to make that fresh start. A pregnancy is a new beginning. It's a new baby. It's a new life. If only this could be the beginning. But unfortunately, with the prison system we have now, which is not only groaning at the seams, but is broken, is Victorian, is unsanitary, is unsafe, I'm afraid that is not the place for a fetus to be developing and to be brought into this world.